Howdy y'all, DJTJ here. We're continuing our breakdown of the points increase from 3rd edition in the General's Handbook 2021. So if you're interested in death or destruction or the endless spells points changes, stick around. Alright everybody, we're going to cover death, destruction, and the endless spells today. We're going to get right into it. I want to shout out to Daniel Street, who put this beautiful spreadsheet together. I found this on Facebook, so Daniel, if you see this, thank you, my eternal gratitude. All right, let's dive right in. So we are starting out with Flesh Eater's Quartz. And let's look at the total gain. 3% gain on Flesh Eaters. It's one of the lowest gains out of any cumulative gains out of the so far that we've seen out of Order, Chaos, or Death. And that's interesting because they're hero heavy, they're monster heavy. I'm not saying they need it, but I mean, to be honest, Flesh Eaters were still okay. I mean, Flesh Eaters still had play in tournaments. Were they going to win a 5-round GT every game go? I don't think so. But there was still some play there. And with them being so hero and monster focused, all these new abilities are looking pretty nice for Flesh Eaters. It's very interesting. Let's see what the big changes were, though. Crypt Ghouls went down. They're going to have to stay in a pack when they move around. Courtier went up a touch. Royal Zombie Dragon went down. Okay. Just moderate. The Grimwatch went up, like we said. Most of all of these had some point adjustment. These little war bands, pretty much every one of them went up or down. All right, Ghoul King on Royal Terror, guys, did get a pretty good points increase. It's on 445, which is, think about that. It's a quarter of your list, and yes, they can summon more, so that sort of takes some off. But still, that's a pricey model. And I guess to bring them in line with the Zombie Dragon. Endless Spells. Where is the Chalice? Chalice is up at 70. That's fine. Endless Spells are better now. The Stampede. Why is it 110? That's another one that sort of go, was it so good that you had to make it over 100 points? Because anytime that I see an Endless Spell over 100 points, I start going, oh, this is one of the best Endless Spells in the game. What am I not seeing with the Stampede in this edition? Let me know in the comments what I'm not seeing and why that spell should be 110 points. Cryptors went down, which is cool. I always love Cryptors on the field. All in all, one of the least scathed. So I'm wondering, it'll be interesting with the new rules and the new changes if Flesh Eater Courts are going to make a little resurgency. I don't know. Maybe the maybe taking stuff like horrors and flares and bigger blocks is not going to be able to now because you got to stay in coherency. Maybe that's an issue that limits them, but you could just take all big monsters and ghouls. I don't know. All right, Bone Reapers. Let's look at their adjustment. They're only up 0.3. I just said that the Flesh Eaters were one of the ones that come out really unscathed. Well, Bone Reapers are very unscathed. A big part, I think, of because they did have some units that gained, especially their endless spells got really pricey. They were very, very affordable and nice. Nagash got a 90-point shift, which was only 10%. Yay. But you had a lot of stuff like Vokmorian went down 25 points. Are you still taking him anyway at 155? Probably not. Probably 125 to me. I wish the Reapers were a little bit cheaper because they're cool models. Catacross, which was, I'm not saying that he wasn't priced right at 500 points, but definitely now giving him, I did not see a point reduction on him coming. Maybe because Bone Reapers are not going to get to do all the normal command traits and abilities that all the other armies are, because they're still working off their relentless discipline points. So maybe that's why you saw the shift down in points, are the things like the Liege Cabalos, Xantos, Catacross. Maybe that's why they've got the reduction in points, because the thought process is, well, they're not going to benefit from all these other things that the command abilities that the other armies are, so you have to balance that out. Maybe that's the thought process, and we'll see how bad that hurts them. But OBR was in a real strong place anyway. It was an A-list army, A-list book. Crawler went up a little bit. Let's not even get into Nagash and his points costs. It's ridiculous. I'm so happy Arkin stayed the same. At least he did not raise. Been cool if he'd went down, but endless spells were the biggest hit probably in the book, because Nagash is, I know everybody's still talking, well, he can do the magic missile with D 3 times 8 if he goes into close combat. I don't know. It's just so expensive to bring Nagash. He's so good, but it's just so expensive. I think that Catacross now is almost, if you're wanting your big hero, it's either him or Arcan. So let me know, OBR players, how do you feel about these points adjustment? I think Soul Stealer is the one that I enjoyed running the most, and it's probably might have priced itself out. I don't know. Night Haunt. Let's see what their raw change was. Up only 6%, so that's a little bit below average. I think they could have not went up that much because they are an older book, but they have had, for as old as the book is, they seem to always get new models, new units, new war scrolls, new battalions, new ways to run them. They've been pretty cool about keeping up with them like that. We'll see if that continues into the 3rd edition. Their endless spells went up a good bit, nothing over 100. Harridan's went up, and the man. All right, so there you go. They went up to a 10-man, but so the points will actually be down per model. Bladegeist went up to a minimum 10 block, but the points were still good. Didn't go crazy. Hex Wraiths. Oh, and Hex Wraiths were just starting to get some play. You're going to raise them up a little bit. Oh no, it wasn't hurt too bad. Let me know in the comments if you're a Nighthaunt player. What do you feel? Were these justified? Were these a bit much? Were they a bit low? Also, we always have to keep in mind too that everybody gets point raised across the board. So everyone got point raises. So it just depends on how bad your point raises were. I like that they kept. Look at all those knights. Knight of the Shroud and Ether Seat. All those stayed the same. Good. All right, Soul Blight. Guess what? Really no change. Nagash was the only thing that changed in this book. I guess 975 was a little much for him, so they brought him down to 970. Thank you for your reasonable reduction. So great. Soul Blight, so I've got the video series about Soul Blight, and one of the biggest things I've been griping about is they seemed a little bit outclassed, outmatched. Now that we see the points of everyone else went up and Soul Blight didn't move at all, they look just a little bit better. I will say that they do look at them points where you're like, man, this thing's a little overcosted for what it does. Well, now you're looking across the board and going, oh, well, it's not as bad as it could have been. We stayed pretty up. So I think Soul Blight, just from this GHB and just from these points changes, have came out really well, because why it made them, it just bumped them up the pecking order a little bit. Not too much, but just a little bit. It made things look a little bit shinier, a little bit better. Oh, Radikar the Wolf, he is now a separate entity. Yep. So that's cool. All right, let's go on to Destruction. Suns came out really nice too. Very small changes. And yep. your Gatebreaker was your highest points increase. I wonder why. What was he doing? Kraken Eater stayed the same, which is awesome. So if you're a Suns player, came out pretty good with your increases. Let's go on to the Orruk warclans. All right, down, 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 right there. Let's see what their point, 6%. So that might be a little deceiving because you're going to look at a lot of stuff like the Cruel Boys are brand new, so there's going to be no point data right there. Kragnos, they did reduce him quite a bit. I think that when he came out at 760s, people were like, eh. Increase, increase, increase. Savage Big Boss. Probably the bigger one. Let's look at a percentage. Who got the percentage killed? Savage Big Boss. Orruk Mega Boss. And Brutes. Really, I mean, in general, Maw Crusher went up to almost 5. Gordrak named, so he's almost at 6. Not too horrible, but I think this hurts. This hurts some list, you know, if you're taking 2 Maw Crushers and stuff. But they came out not horrible. Let me know, Orruk players, what do you think? What was the biggest hurt or the biggest injustice that you faced in this points hike, or lack of a point hike, or lack of a minus in points? All right, Gloomspite. That it's 5%. It's weird because you see a lot that got a pretty good. Thank goodness Scuttletide went up. Scuttletide was really good. See, Mork's Mighty Mushroom is why is at 100 points? I don't know. But Scuttletide at 85 is a lot more in line. I wouldn't even have been surprised if it was in the 90s or the 100s. Scuttletide is really good. All right. Shooters, Stabbers went up. No max discount more than 20. Yeah. So everything, if you didn't realize that in the new edition, used to you would get max unit bonuses. So let's say if you had Stabbers, I think what was it, 20, 40, 60, or 80 at 60 or something, they started getting cheaper. A lot of stuff in the books did that. All those have pretty much gone away from this. So it's something else to keep in mind. Oh, and that's another thing going back to death. A lot of those units too, especially OBR, didn't, you know, you caught a break if you maxed them out. Now there's no breaks. Them going up in points is a little bit. Mangler Squig goes up. All in all, Loon Boss on Mangler Squigs. What do you guys think? How did the Gloomspite come out on it? I think that they did okay. Their endless spells went kind of crazy a little bit. But I think they made it out all right. All right, let's look at mawtribes. 8%, which is a moderate increase, probably because they're so hero heavy, I'm going to imagine. And there's not a ton of units. Gluttons going up. Min size formerly 3. All right, so now Gluttons, do they have a 2-inch reach? Can they fight in 2 ranks? So this is what's really hurting the mawtribes. And I don't think mawtribes were in a place where this coherency stuff did them probably the least amount of favors. I don't think it was needed at all for these guys. They should probably come out when they have an FAQ or their new book. Hopefully not. Hopefully it's an FAQ that sort of says no, they can be in units of over 5 and still have inch-to-inch coherency or something, because it just hurts them so bad. Where's their big stuff? Thunder Tusks and Stone Horns. Pretty pretty reasonable points increases. That's where the meat of your killing is in these armies. So I think they did all right. I think they're going to be, that's once again that some of these are those hero monster combinations that you're seeing that have gone up quite a bit in each army. Yeah, Iron Guts going up. So tell me what you think. All you Ogre mawtribes players, let me know. Let me know what you think. I think you got done a little dirty, so I don't think that all these points increases are really justified. All right, endless spells. Now, the last thing, we're going to cover these real quick because without understanding that each one of these pretty much got changed, and you can, I have a link for that in the description. And you can go check out the Facehammer post that has the GHB that goes over everything, and you can check all these out. So seeing them sort of just score wise isn't really doing anything for you. First off, Bellwind Vortex being obsolete sucks because I have a beautiful one painted for my Zinch, and now we can't take it. Spell Porter did not change, so Spell Porter is still pretty good. Right here, I will say this: Soul Snare Shackles used to be one of my favorite endless spells when it was like 20, 25 points when it first came out. Now it got increased to 65, and I still think it's worth taking. This might become, I think you're going to see that this will go up in price again if they keep the rules the way they are. It's basically stopping people from charging within 6 inches. So it's going to shut some armies down. Some can just shoot and some can work around it, but that is it's something to look at. The bridge changed, and it did need the reduction in points because now it's a two-way bridge and anybody can use it. Purple Sun only went up. It went up some. I don't know if it really needed to. Prismatic a little bit. And all these, of course, across the board pretty much went up. If you do see some drastic drops like the cogs, it's because their rules changed. Yeah, and the cogs was probably the bigger ones that changed the way it works. It's not like the just general movement. I think it's only one or two to charge, and or if you do the spell casting one. The good thing is it's every wizard within 6. So I think you're going to see it a lot more for spell casting that people will take to get those extra casts or bonuses to cast. Burning Head is now a throwaway almost. That's why it went down. It's a sort of a one-use magic bomb. So yeah, when you're looking at all these, and the rules change for Maelstrom. So when you're looking at these points changes, don't freak out one way or the other. Go and actually look up and see what the rules do. And some of them are actually okay. Once again, all these points across the board for every army, except for Soul Blight, pretty much changed and everything went up. So keep that in mind when you're looking at your specific armies. And in the comments, let me know what you liked about the changes and what you didn't like. Maybe you had that one friend that always ran something, you're glad that it got an increase. Or maybe you've been running something that you think has been overcosted forever and it still got an increase. So let me know in the comments. With all that being said, thanks for watching and y'all be good.